Morning, guys. Here we are, day number 3 of this, looking at how do we interpret Scripture. And our third principle is to use clear passages to interpret unclear ones. And I don't, unfortunately, have a specific one this morning. I wanted to talk to us a little bit out of our thing around David. But can I say this, just around that, using clear Scriptures to interpret unclear Scriptures. If you don't understand a Scripture, rather than trying to find out some, the Google searches and the what does everyone else think is not the best place to go. Is what does the rest of the Bible say about the same thing, right? Let Scripture interpret Scripture. And so I think, especially in these moments, in seasons where things are a bit unclear, that's not the best time to go and read unclear texts. So I think I might have said this before, but this probably isn't the right season to be reading Revelation and Daniel and all this apocalyptic end time stuff. That stuff has got as much value and is as valid as the rest of Scripture, 100%. But in unclear moments like this, I think it's really helpful to what is the clear stuff God has said to us, real clarity. So can I encourage you around that? Please just be careful what you're feeding your mind with at the moment. All of Scripture is God breathed. But there are times and seasons for different parts of Scripture to be read. And so our text for this morning is 1 Samuel chapter 18. It says, from verse 5, it says, whatever mission Saul sent him on, talking about David, David was so successful that Saul gave him a high rank in the army. This pleased all the troops and Saul's officers as well. When the men were returning home after David had killed the Philistines, the women came out from the towns of Israel to meet King Saul with singing and dancing, with joyful songs and with timbrels and lyres. As they danced, they sang, Saul has slain his thousands, and David his tens of thousands. Saul was very angry. This refrain displeased him greatly. They have credited David with tens of thousands, he thought, but me with only thousands. What more can he get but the kingdom? And from that time on, Saul kept a close eye on David. So I'm not sure if you took the time yesterday to be able to let the verse speak for itself, use the context to determine the meaning. But there's a few things here in this text. I'd like to talk a little bit about comparison this morning. What's interesting is when the people came out, if you look at these ladies who came out to dance and they were singing, it said that they came out to meet King Saul. They didn't come out to meet David. They came out to meet King Saul because when the army won, it was credit to the king. And the song that they sung was, Saul has slain his thousands and David his tens of thousands. So they weren't comparing David and Saul. They were just saying, like, it's thousands upon 10,000s. Like, we smashed the Philistines big time. And again, it's credit to the king because he was the one who appointed David in the army. He was the one who chose David as a commander. And so it's credit to the king. But unfortunately, because of the darkness and that insecurity that was inside of Saul's heart, he didn't hear Saul has slain his thousands and David his tens of thousands. Look what he says. In verse 8, it says, they have credited David with tens of thousands, he thought, but me with only thousands. They didn't say but. They said and. But Saul heard a but. And friends, one thing we really have to be careful of, especially right now, is I've heard people say, well, if I was a good Christian, then I wouldn't be struggling with this. Or if I was a good Christian, I wouldn't be scared about this. I wouldn't be afraid. If I was this, if I was that. Or saying, my Christian friend is like this. And we kind of we can get into a place where we compare ourselves to some sort of other standard which isn't real. Right now, what's so important is that each of us are honest about where we're at. I spoke to a friend yesterday and just said he's feeling lost. All his measurables have changed. And he's feeling a bit lost within himself and doesn't know where to start. I said, brother, the most important thing in a time like this is to be able to tell someone. And he's like, I don't want to tell anyone because I don't want them to think that I'm weak. And this isn't a time for us to be withdrawing and taking a step back and comparing ourselves to others and going, well, they all seem so strong and I'm not very strong, so I'm just going to put on a brave face. This is a time to be honest about where we're at. If you're feeling weak, this is a good time to reach out to others. If you're feeling strong, this is a good time also to reach out towards others and not to compare ourselves, even in our encouragement for one another, not to say, well, you shouldn't be and you must be, and a real Christian would, or that's incredibly unhelpful. God has made some of us to be like a hoe, which digs trenches. Others of us, God has created us to be a rake, which rakes up the leaves. And if the hoe and the rake start comparing themselves to each other, neither one's going to be effective. You're just going to end up with a hake, a combo of the two. And who needs fish at a time like this, right? So I think what's really, really important is we've got to be careful about what we're allowing to grow in secret in our hearts. And because it's in that place that the enemy comes and he begins to accuse us, and he says, you're not good enough. Look at that person, or look at this person, or a real Christian would, and this is a time where God is busy working in our hearts, and things are exposed. When all the busyness is gone, and all the fuss and the noise and all the stuff is quietened down, like it has been a little bit, and we're at home now, and we've got time to think, some of the stuff in our heart begins to be revealed to us a little bit. And that's not the time to cut and run, or the time to withdraw and feel disqualified. That's the time to be able to reach out, to begin to talk, and to know that God has created each of us for a specific purpose right now. This isn't the time for us to copy or to feel like I have to be somebody else like Saul. This is a time for ands, not buts. This is a time for each of us, each strength running alongside each other. Some of us slaying thousands, some of us slaying 10,000, some of us feeding thousands, some of us being generous to thousands, each of us running in our own lane. So here's the thing. Can I encourage you or challenge you with this? I'd like you to just maybe take one or two people in your world in the next couple of days. And instead of, but just take a moment to tell them something that you value about them. Help them see the thing that is beautiful about them, or the thing that's unique about them. Just send them a message and go, you know what? I prayed for you this morning, so pray for them. And then this is something I really see as unique in your life. And thank you so much for being that to the church. I really do appreciate it. And let's encourage each other and spur each other on. I'll see you tomorrow morning.